Okay, I lied. I said I was doing 2 parts of the Dismantling the Watchtower and Others Jesus series. Well, okay, I'm doing 3. Because I hear you doubting, I hear you saying, look, Mike, you know, you can keep Ignatius, you can keep Polycarp, you can keep Arius, you can keep all your church fathers and theologians, because I know what the Bible teaches. And I don't care that nobody believed it about Jesus, you know, until Arius. I know what the Bible teaches. It says he's the firstborn of all creation. It says God brought him forth at the beginning. And even if 1 million people in the world believe that he was eternal, I don't care. That says that he's created, and that is that. Fair enough. And then I can also hear you saying, and you are, you know, doing all this special pleading with Colossians 1:15, saying that, oh, no, you know, firstborn, see, what it really means is preeminent, chief, God's number 1. It doesn't mean he's the first thing born. Okay, let's check it out here. Well, I guess the question was, how did early Christians, how did they understand this whole notion of Jesus being the firstborn? Well, let's take a gander, shall we? Let's see here. So here's one church father, Tertullian. Said, how again is he before all things if he is not the firstborn of every creature, if he is not the word of the Creator? Now that's against Marcion, chapter 19. Not sure what book it is. So there he is. Tertullian's calling Jesus the firstborn of every creature. But here he is again. The origins of both of his substances display him as man and as God. From one born, the other not born. So you have Tertullian basically saying that Jesus, you know, as man is born, as God is not born. So that, you know, he also called Jesus God's firstborn. So Tertullian didn't appear to have any, you know, he didn't seem to think that firstborn meant that he was the first thing God created. But Tertullian's an idiot. What does he know? Let's look at somebody else here, shall we? Let's see. How about Origen? Anybody? He's also styled firstborn, as the apostles have declared, who is the firstborn of every creature. The firstborn, however, is not by nature a different person from wisdom, but one and the same. Now, it's Origen in De Principis, chapter 1, book 1, chapter 2. Now, there's Origen calling Jesus the firstborn. But stay tuned. Here he is slamming the idea that Christ once didn't exist as heresy. We do not hold that which the heretics imagined, that some part of the being of God was converted into the Son, or that the Son was procreated by the Father from non-existent substances, that is, from a being outside of himself, so that there was a time that he did not exist. That's the Fundamental Doctrines, Book 4, Chapter 4, Section 1. So, you know, you have Origen slamming the idea of Jesus being created as heresy, and yet he also called Jesus the firstborn. So, it would seem that, you know, in the pre-Nicene church, that these guys, you know, regarded Jesus not as the first thing God created, and yet they applied firstborn to him. It looks like they considered it a matter of, you know, Jesus' preeminence. Not enough proof. Okay, fine. No problem. Here's more proof. Now, we just talked about Irenaeus in a couple videos ago. Let's read something he said about Jesus being firstborn. Jesus was the appointed Son of God with power. Jesus Christ was appointed the Son of God with power, according to the Spirit of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead, as being first begotten in all the creation. The Son of God is made the Son of Man, that through him we may receive the adoption. That's against heresies, book 3, chapter 16. So there he is. He's the first begotten, or firstborn of all creation. But again, what else does he say? The Word that is the Son is always with the Father. The Son eternally coexisting with the Father, blah, blah, blah. Against heresies, book 2, chapter 30, section 9. So Irenaeus regarded Jesus as firstborn, yes, but he also regarded him as eternal. So you see what I'm saying? You know, in the pre-Nicene church, the thought was that Jesus was firstborn and also eternally existent. And I don't believe, I can't think of anybody before Arius who actually regarded it as a matter of him being the first thing created. So there's that. Yeah, but how about Proverbs 8:22? Okay, well, how about Proverbs 8:22? Now, I just want to say, I don't believe that Proverbs 8:22 was written about a pre-human Messiah. It's wisdom literature. Wisdom is spoken out about in the first 7 chapters frequently, and yet, where it's supposed to magically switch gears in Proverbs 8 to, this is the pre-human Messiah, not just the commodity of wisdom. But, okay, I'll grant you it's about Jesus. Sure, fine. Let's check it out here. In the Septuagint, you're going to tell me it says, the Lord created me at the beginning of his ways. Created. Kitsos. And if that's Jesus, if that is indeed Jesus, well then there you go. God created him at the beginning of his ways. Well, just hold tight. How is it that numerous church fathers who denied explicitly, like Origen, Athanasius, to name just a few, that denied that Jesus was created, applied that to him? Well, here's the thing that I came upon recently. Check it out. See, in the Septuagint, kitsos does not just mean create from nothing. In fact, in the Septuagint, the word that occurs in Genesis 1 and 2 for the creation of spiritual creatures is poein, and for material creatures, plasein, not kitsis. So when God is making something out of nothing in Genesis 1 and 2, the word is poein and plasein. I'm probably butchering the Greek, pardon me. Kitsis, which can mean create, can also mean generate. Was there ever a time that Yahweh was not generating wisdom? No. Was there ever a time that the Father was not generating the Son? No, that's the doctrine of eternal generation. It's kind of like the sun, the S-U-N. By its nature, it generates rays and heat. Yet the rays and heat have always existed as long as the actual parent mass. The sun is the source, the rays and heat are the product, but the sun is no older than what it, by its nature, produces. So, putting aside that, everybody got it wrong, and that Proverbs 8:22, Proverbs 8:22, Christ is similar to the wisdom that is being generated by the Lord, in that, wisdom's always being generated by the Father, and so is the Son. But Proverbs 8:22 wasn't about Jesus anyway. Even if it was, and the Lord, Yahweh, kitsis him at the beginning, well, that just meant he generated him. That's how the early church fathers understood it. So, two of your major Jesus is created proof texts. It just wasn't seen that way until the time of Arius.